Moving forward, now this is a projection for 9-10. We show a little bit of a carryover, and that is a result of receiving these additional grants. So we start with a little bit of a fund balance. Here's where we take the big hit. TDA funds moving forward from where they were originally estimated June 30th, now June 30th, 2009, are estimated to be an additional 15% off. So when you add up this number and this, it's 15% lower than where we started a year ago. Assuming that the second phase of our fare increase goes in, we're projecting to go up to 130,500. Now what that takes into account is a full year's implementation of the second tier of the fare increase, but also projecting that based on our average ridership, we would lose a number of passengers. So it's not full. We didn't take our current ridership and just multiply it by the fare increase. We actually said we're going to lose 5 service hours a day. We average 8.2 passengers per hour. So subtract that number off our average fare, and that's how we came up with the 130,000. So our total operating budget, you can see we lose a couple $100,000. Expenditures, this is with the service cuts and adjustments. We end up with no fund balance, but we do have some balance, about 10% operating balance with MTC in our TDA. Now that is the estimate. So what happens is if sales tax doesn't come in next year, even matching what is being projected, we would lose this first. So that wouldn't impact our operating or our general fund, more importantly. If we lose greater, then we start to get into an operating deficit and we need to come back to you for further adjustments. Any questions on this slide here? So as was presented in December, we have a 2-tiered fare increase proposal. Fares have not been increased for 11 years for Ready Ride, same as they were in the past. A lot of discussion has been made about how come we haven't stepped up fees along the way. One of the reasons is over the last 10 years, Ready Ride has enjoyed tremendous success in growth as well as increase in funding from TDA. So our fare box has averaged 13 to 15%, and we have had a reserve of TDA moving forward. So it's hard to bring to you a proposal to incrementally raise passenger fares when indeed the fares were paying for the operation. But today is a different story, and what we have here is our current fares. This proposal basically takes and raises each different category by 50 cents starting February 1, next week. Then in July 1 of 2009, there's the second 50-cent incremental increase for each fare category. There was some concern about the impact to certain segments, including seniors and disabled at our last discussion, and I was asked to bring back some alternate proposals that would still generate about the same amount of revenue from passenger fares. So this proposal basically will generate the same amount, but what it does is it steps up seniors and disabled by a quarter in February and then another quarter in July. Your youth ridership, which currently composes about 50% of our ridership right now, moves from $1.25, 75-cent jump right here to $2, and then the 50-cent jump to $2.50. Basically, you have two fare types, $2.50 and $1.50. Right now, we have a subscription service for school run that comprises a great deal of our ridership, and that is the category that falls in that 5 to 17 range. Passengers sign up for a monthly service to and from, or just from school, and they pay for the seat for the month, whether they use it or not, Monday through Friday. So currently, our fares would go up in February to $42 for one way or $60 for a round trip. If you go to this, that's with the original proposal. If you go to this proposal, that would increase slightly. So your monthly service would go up a little bit more for your subscription.
What would that be with this one?
Be the second.
You would go up to $34 and $67, or excuse me, 42 or 84.
42 for 84 under the alternate option?
Right, if you go to the...
Greater
the
increase
two-
in youth.
Right.
And what was the first one then?
Let's see, for the 9-10 school year, if you went to this fare structure, you'd be going to $42 for one way and $84 for round trip.
Okay, and then for the original option, it was,
It would be $21 for one way and, excuse me, 30 for one way and 60 for round trip. Sorry about that.
I have a
So you
question
go up an additional.
regarding, what's your take on people deciding they can't use the bus because it's now too expensive? Is that going to be an issue?
We probably will lose some ridership from cost. We may lose some ridership because now instead of a 10-minute response time, you may have a 30, 40, maybe even longer response time, and people may make other plans. So we are expecting some refusals for service. Some people may choose alternate means because of the fare. I don't anticipate that will be too great. Based on the posting of our notices, based on the information we have sent home for new fare proposals starting February next month, next week, we haven't received any requests to cancel service. We haven't received a lot of feedback on the new fare. So
Do you have a waiting list for ridership?
we do have a waiting list for our school subscription service. This will, over time, probably create the need for a lot of our passengers to call a little bit further in advance, to schedule times when we may be not our peak demand time. So there will be some adjustments definitely over the next year.
Any other questions? Jeff, do you have others? Go ahead.
So just to summarize, tonight what we're asking is to pass the resolution that would implement the two-tier fare increase, February and July. We are also asking that you approve a reduction in service beginning February 1, that we would close at 5 p.m. instead of 6, and we would reduce vehicle service hours by up to 5 hours per day. So basically we will have 4 vehicles on the road during our very peak school run demand time. Then we would go down to 2 and maybe 3 at other times. We track hourly ridership that shows us our peak demand times. For example, the hours of 7 to 8 is by far our highest peak time. So we would have 4 buses on at that time. As we move throughout the day, one of our lowest demand times is the 5 to 6 time. So we would have fewer buses there. 4 to 5 is huge again. So we plan accordingly throughout the day, and we would continue to monitor that and still be a little bit flexible. What we will be coming back to you with is, as we prepare and bring back the fiscal year 9-10 operating budget, we'll have better updates on estimates for TDA, how they came in this year for the next quarter. We'll have other options for your consideration, such as our participation level in Solano Paratransit, as well as our participation level in intercity service. So there may be some other options on how we use Transit Development Act funding. So there will be more information coming to you, but tonight's actions are these 2 that we're asking.
Okay.